Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chaosium's Twitch. Do you guys see who I have here with me? Are you guys excited? I'm dumb excited. I might be really dumb excited because I'm a big fangirl of these two individuals. But welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. My name is Bridget. I am your community coordinator over at Chaosium, and we are here with the Pendragon AMA. One, I know you guys are stoked because I sent out that pre-link where you guys could like flood us with questions, and that link avalanched. We have some questions about setting and lore and best way to deploy some of these rules, and some really great questions about inspiration and how these two amazing creators contributed to this awesome book. So I'm not going to hold you guys long. I just have a couple of very quick announcements for you, and then I will get onto the stars of the show right now, which I have a whole Mark and David on the stream right now. I'm so excited. Okay, guys, I know you're super excited about this new book. This is what's coming straight from marketing. Starting tomorrow, today is the 25th, starting tomorrow on the 26th, you will be able to pre-order the Pendragon book. So you can pre-order it starting tomorrow. If you pre-order, you will immediately get a copy of the PDF. Now, your physical book will ship upon receipt when it gets to our warehouse. It's 2025. Don't yell at us. Y'all already know the struggle is absolutely everywhere. We're doing the best we can with what we got. Right now, for the first time ever, you can pre-order something from Chaosium. So starting tomorrow, you can pre-order this bad boy, get the PDF ASAP, and then as soon as the physical book hits the warehouse, that is going to jump out to you guys. So tomorrow is going to be a very, very, very exciting day for many of you. But tonight, you're here with the absolutely amazing Mark Morrison and David Larkins. Guys, let's start off with some introductions. Mark, I'm going to start with you. We're going to close with David, and we're going to hop directly into this interview. Mark, tell us all the reasons why we love you. Tell us who you are, baby.
Uh, Bridget, it's an absolute blast to be here. So hooray, hooray!
Yes.
I
Go to
am
heart.
a Chaosium author of long-standing, mostly known for Call of Cthulhu, but my favorite role-playing game is Pendragon. So I ran the Great Pendragon campaign for 8 years back in the 90s. Got to the Grail Quest, and then they all got lost in a forest. Sad story. And now that the it's back at Chaosium with this fantastic new edition, I'm just a mad enthusiast and also a bit of a fraud. I wrote nothing in this book, right? I just was walking by, saw the lights on, people were at the castle. But I am a community content ambassador like yourself, Bridget. So
Mm-hmm.
helping authors write things. And late last year, we launched the Companions of Arthur, and there are already some fantastic sixth edition Pendragon scenarios and articles and maps ready for you on drive through. So that is just really hoping that more people write and more people play. So hooray, huzzah!
Huzzah! Well said, well said, well said. And David, I'm coming to see you next, baby. Tell us who you are and tell us all the reasons why we're in love with you, too.
Right. Hello, I'm David Larkins, and I'm the line editor for Pendragon role playing game, which means I'm the guy who sort of coordinates the production of these books. I do some writing on it, I do some editing, I do art direction, I work with the wonderful layout crew, and then I sit back and I cheer on the post-production team, right, as they get the books out into the world. So I'm glad I don't have to do all of it, frankly, but I wear a lot of hats. And I've been playing Pendragon for, gosh, over 20 years now. And much like Mark, it is obviously one of my favorite role-playing games as well, or I wouldn't be working on it. But I've also written for Call of Cthulhu, RuneQuest, 7th Sea, so eventually I hope to add every single Chaosium game to my trophy rack, and we'll get there one day, I'm sure.
Can't wait for your off quest scenario there, David. I'm
That's
hanging
right.
around.
Coming soon.
Coming soon, coming soon.
Bring
All right.
world, bring it.
All right, Mark, David, we have a lot of questions to jump in. So let's hop in. Chat, here's where we are. All jokes aside, babes, I think we're sitting on something like 40 questions. We're going to do our best to get through the questions, and I am going to pick and choose questions from the chat and try to get those introduced as well, because this is an AMA. So I'll do the best that I can to try to pull and capture questions from chat. Just love me through if I'm not able to, because you guys have a lot of questions that were preloaded. Okay, we are starting off strong out of the gate. It looks like I am throwing this question over to Mark. What is a small change or inclusion in the Gamemaster's Handbook that you think will have a big impact on how people play or run the game?
Oh, so you've said a small change, but can I go to a big one? Like I'm so excited about feasts, right? I think feasts are outstanding. It's such a big moment to go to court and have the good food for once, the swan in the chicken in the duck in the quail. And there are feast events, and there are feast cards. And I made
Oh,
some. Right now, these are going to be a free, well, not free. They come with your pre-order PDF. You can download a set of print
No
and
extra
play
cost.
feast cards. And there's all kinds
wow.
of mad events that can happen at feasts. You get glory, stuff goes mad. All right, so David, you're at the feast, and you're just about to tuck in when a fellow guest says you lack passion. You lack
Oh,
passion, Sir David. What do you do? You have to make a passion roll to show you care deeply. All right, Dame Bridget,
That's
you're just
right.
trying to tuck into the trencher, and the host
yep.
passes by. The host comes by and speaks with you about a topic dear to your heart.
Oh,
So these kind of events can kind of go on, and we're actually doing the marriage of Arthur and Guinevere our next session. I can't wait to make it a big feast. I think that's an amazing new
Oh
system.
yeah.
what a fantastic narrative mechanic. That is massive. I love that they're physical cards too, that you can just randomize and flip them over. Dope.
So
Okay.
they're print and play right now, but Chaosium is working on a solution. We have our best people on it. So down the line, you'll be able to buy a pack of cards. Until then, you'll have to make them like me.
Those look great. Those look great. And what a fun mechanic to actually like help with the immersion and the buy-in. Okay, I'm gonna stay with you really fast, baby. How did you go about collecting feedback on the previous version or otherwise come to conclusions that led you to various iterations in this version? That's a good question because Bridget doesn't know that one either.
I'm gonna send that one over to David as the yeah.
Well, that is a very um multi-layered question because it really goes back to gosh, the long ago of like 2010, 2011. Fifth edition Pendragon came out in 2005. So it's been 20 years since that edition. And so Greg Stafford, for those of you who don't know, creator of Pendragon, was already starting to think about a new edition in like 2010 and 2011 thereabouts. And he had always wanted it to be like sort of the final iteration, his final statement on the game. So it really was like sort of a collection of all the stuff that he had been working on after the release of the initial fifth edition core rule book. There was a whole line of different books, Book of the Estate and Book of Battle, and so forth. So he wanted to integrate all of that. So like to Mark's previous answer, we had Book
Mm-hmm.
of the Feast, right? And that came out, and that's what introduced the Feast deck. So now that is in the core rules. That is an official part of the core rules rather than being a supplement. And and then Greg just wanted to work in. He was always absorbing and studying medieval history, Arthurian literature. What's the latest, cutting edge scholarship, basically. And so he wanted to work in a lot of what he had learned subsequent to fifth edition coming out.
Yeah.
And then he gathered a team. I was part of that team, and we called ourselves the household, right? And we were the household knights for Greg. And man, some of those email threads,
Oh
hundreds of
Lord.
emails, hundreds of emails going back and forth, hammering out manorial economics and how many knights are there in Salisbury County and the Kingdom of Logres, and what are the percentage breakdowns, how many household knights versus how many vassal knights, the amount of like kind of background work that goes into. It's a lot like a computer game or a video game, right, where it's
Uh-huh.
like all the coding that goes on behind the scenes just so that you can knock a guy out and steal his wallet, like. So like I say, very deep question because it's years and years of work. And then yeah, my main job Greg brought me in and then sadly passed a few months later. And so my job since then has been, he fortunately left us with a first draft of what he wanted 6th edition to look like, which was
Yeah.
a 600-page Word document, right? So then we were like, well, we can't publish this as is, so we have to figure out how we're going to break it up and, you know, just make it as user friendly and internally consistent as possible.
Oh, I love it. 600 pages with that original
Mm-hmm.
manuscript.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
One, what an absolute treasure to hold, but also like, man, we got to push this across the finish line. Like, what a responsibility and what an opportunity to honor a legacy too.
Yeah.
Woof. Okay, that leads into beautifully into a question I want to ask both of you, but I'm gonna pick on you, David, because we're already with you right now.
Mm-hmm.
What part of the Game Master's Handbook are you most proud of?
Another tough question.
You gotta love our fan base, honey.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so hmm, the part I'm most proud of, I think, is being able to include all of the background information that Greg wrote on like the religions of Britain and
Oh,
magic and miracles and the Arthurian setting by you know publishing multiple volumes for a holistic core set um, that allowed us to include those larger sections, which honestly in the past, by having just a single volume rule book, had to be a little skimpy, right?
yeah,
And when I got into Pendragon, I mean, I've loved Arthurian lore since I was a kid. I've you know loved medieval history.
yeah.
I have a degree in history, and if I had gone on to master's level or PhD level, I probably would have done something with medieval history. Nevertheless, I had so many questions when I started running the
Mm.
game, and I'm stubborn and I like a challenge. So I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. But I understand that's kind of an unusual position, and I love that we're able to facilitate a deeper understanding of the setting for folks who are just getting into the game and want to run the game. That's right there in the book.
I mean, that was a tough question, but you stuck the landing on that one. Well done, babe.
Thank you.
Mark, talk to us, babe. What are you most proud of?
Well, it is reflected pride. I'm modest. I'll check my modesty because
Modesty.
book. I just love it. I'm just here. I walked in, the lights were on. I was going to say the religion and magic chapters. Are so thrilling to read last night. There's a list of saints. I kludge along with my half-assed idea of what it should be, and to see everything kind of written up in such a thoughtful and inspirational way. So, but you already chose that one. So I like
Sorry.
the one pager of Who's Who. It is so
Hmm.
handy because players are always going, "Who is that? Who is that? Who's Sir Orpheus? What's going on with Kay?" It's so tight to have all your big personalities in one hit. Boom, there they are. So yeah, there's lots in here.
I I can literally feel the charge on how excited chat is because miracles and magic are literally chat is like that's what we're excited about. So religion, I love it. I love it. All right, David, back over to you, babe. Will the bestiary be updated to include new monsters and enemies?
Yes. Next
Oh,
question. No.
that was such a marketing restricted answer. Don't make eye contact
No,
with the
no,
camera.
I'm
Look
happy
down and go,
to I'm
yes.
happy to expand on that. There's actually two chapters. There's two chapters. There's Game Master characters, and then there's the Bestiary. So
Okay.
Game Master characters, we have named characters. We have obviously Arthur, Guinevere, Kay, Count Robert, King Pellinor, quite a few. Merlin, obviously. Um, and they're fully statted out for the Boy King period for folks who know. And then we just have a whole grip of like everyone from a noblewoman or a duke all the way down to like commoners in generic stat blocks, right? So you can take
Okay.
those. We have like multiple different types of knight. We have uh, you know um, regular, spearmen or mercenaries, Picts, and a lot of these have appeared in previous editions, of course. Obviously, all of them are fully updated for 6th edition, and again, they're all in one place now, which is nice. And then, the bestiary has all your favorites, dragons and unicorns and
Brownies.
elephants and brownies. Yes,
Brownies.
absolutely. I love the section actually on allegorical animals. Medieval culture was really big on allegory, and so every animal, like the original bestiary, in the original sense, was just a sort of natural history collation of here are the animals of the world. But it wasn't enough to just say this is what an elephant looks like. It's also like, what does an elephant represent metaphorically,
Oh,
or what does a bee represent, or a peacock? And so basically, if your character spends some time contemplating like a beehive, for example,
what does it mean?
you get a check to your energetic. Or if you witness a bee stinging someone and dying as it rips the stinger out of its body as it flies away, you get a check to just, because you
Oh,
think about how the bee is doing, is sacrificing itself for the common good of the hive, right? So observing animals in the wild can actually make your character better, or at least change your character's outlook on life.
holy cow. That is so rich.
I'm sitting here watching, literally through this window, 3 swallows doing mad laps chasing insects. Like they're right there right now.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
I tell
a
you what,
Arthurian
talk me through it, Mark. What do you
invitation.
think that means?
It means there's a lot of insects outside, and they're feasting on them. I figured up to a dozen of them out there, and they all squabble about which light fitting they're going to stand on. But anyway, hooray! Of nature, it's good for you.
Oh, that is good. That's rich. Oh, I love it. I love it. Talk about some depth there. All right, guys, if you can tell me, we are curious. This was one of the next questions up. What is something that you wanted to include but couldn't for space or other reasons? Look at Mark's smile. Mark, I'm so happy to be on the stream with you right now. You just make my heart
Where are my
happy.
stats for Mordred, David? Come on, bring him on. I know he's only a baby, but come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can give you the stats for baby Mordred. He's
Well,
really easy to beat in
no, he's not.
in melee.
Merlin tried, didn't work.
That's true. Something we wanted to include but couldn't for space reasons. Well, I mean, I think the 3rd volume is the Noble's Handbook. And when we were divvying things up, we did have to make some judgment calls. So, for example, the aforementioned chapters on religion and magic and miracles, there was a debate as to whether we should include that in this book and then put the section on like manorial economics and managing your estate into the Noble's Handbook, or vice versa. And at the end of the
Oh.
day, it's the Noble's Handbook. Your basic character starts out as a household knight, so you don't have to worry about estate management. That comes later. And so the Noble's Handbook is all about climbing the ladder, right, and trying to build influence and power. So it made sense to put the manorial economics in that book.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to be able to have both sections in the Gamemaster's Handbook. But yeah, space was a consideration for sure.
Anything you want to throw on that one, Mark?
It's always been a Nobles book, like through 1st edition, through 4th edition. It's always been like that step further. And I find in the early years, people just want to crash around on horses and do great deeds before they start running lands. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a fair cop when people are like, look, I have to balance my bank account in real life. I don't need to be managing an imaginary estate too. Thanks.
Is that not why you come to role-playing games? It's to like balance your
Right?
books in character? I thought that was a thing. No? Oh, okay.
It can definitely generate story, but yeah, I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. So,
But, I mean, also, this is a great new book. It's a great new edition, but Pendragon's been super playable for 40 years, so no one has to hold up their campaign. No castle. The Nobles book is out. Just grab the last edition. It's totally fine. It'll carry you over.
Or just say you have a manor and everything zeroes out at the end of the month. So,
Bam.
there
There you
go.
go. Boom. As someone who has an aversion to math, that's an accounting. That sounds like my type of style right there. Zeros at the end of the month. Look at God. We're moving on. Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. David, this looks like this one is going to you. Now that Chaosium has released a few books on the 6E line, how has the experience been writing these books from Greg Stafford's notes? And are there still things that you're discovering as you're going through this process? And like, this is a beautiful question. Are there any questions that you wish that you could ask him?
You know, I know I've said this before, but I really feel like it's taken the whole development team working together to equal Greg, right? So like I couldn't have done it on my own at all. And we have a wonderful sort of, you know, cabinet really of different different perspectives, and all of us knew Greg for a long time, and you know, many of us gamed with Greg, so we're able to take that sort of personal relationship and use it to interact and interface with the text. But yeah, it was interesting, like taking his drafts and working with them, because it was a little bit like having a conversation with him like every day, you know,
Oh,
because his voice
beautiful
was there.
articulation.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and that was really important to me too, was to make sure that in the course of like doing the thing editors do, which is, you know, sort of polish up somebody's raw text, I wanted Greg's voice to remain in the text and not turn it into something else, right?
Woo. Powerfully said. But powerful statement there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Chat, you guys ignore me for just about 2 seconds, and I'm going to talk to our two guests really fast. Mark and David, I'm looking at the time right now, and we're about 30 minutes in. So we're about to hit the halfway mark. And if you're looking at the same document I'm looking at, we not going to get through all of these questions, unfortunately.
No.
So, gentlemen, please, by all means, feel free in our shared Zoom screen to shoot me the numbered questions that you think we should prioritize, because we have some really amazing questions right now, and I want to give the viewers and the tribe as much value as we possibly can. So feel free just to shoot me numbers, and I will reverse correspond them, and we'll jump in from there. Okay, chat, you guys can listen again. Thanks for your patience. All right.
The magic happens.
Right. Yeah, put on your la ears while the host talks to the guests. Yeah. All right, guys. I think this is a great question, because this is a question that Bridget personally has as someone who has never run a Pendragon game before. So this is targeted towards David, but Mark, I really need you to lean in here too, because one, you're a brilliant storyteller, and I'm really curious about your opinion here too. So Pendragon can be a daunting RPG, particularly for new GMs. What does this new Gamemaster's Handbook do to better onboard GMs into the system / setting and facilitate a better GMing experience? Talk to Bridget, who hasn't run it before. Talk me through how this book is going to support me with onboarding into Pendragon.
Well, I'll start at the back of the book, because the back of the book has 2 scenarios in it, and these are specifically designed, like if you sit down with a group and everyone rolls up characters with the guidelines in the core rule book, those characters are set up to then go straight on into these scenarios. So, and the scenarios are written as introductory scenarios.
Okay.
And then those will then dovetail with the starter set, for example, and then they're ergo then onto the Grey Knight. So you know, obviously we wanted that was intended. And then like once you could use the old edition of the Great Pendragon campaign, because there's all the information there is still valid, or you know, as the new edition rolls out in the hopefully not too distant future, you know, it'll also interface there as well. So, and even if you're like, oh well, I already been running, you know, the starter set, and so we're kind of past that period, you know, the scenarios, like I said, are written in a way that are friendly to beginning GMs. So they kind of talk about like, here's how you run Pendragon, here's why certain roles are called for, and you know, that sort of thing.
That is helpful. Okay.
Yeah. And then the first chapter, or sorry, the second chapter actually, running Pendragon, that is some stuff that like I don't know if it's ever appeared in any previous Pendragon editions, but it's Greg's own personal advice for running Pendragon. So,
Oh, wow.
mhm.
Oh, wow. How close to authentic can you get on that one? That's stunning. Okay. Okay. Oh, I love it. Mark, I've never run Pendragon before, babe. Help me out. What is this book going to do to help support me onboarding into this experience?
I think everything about the new edition has got the marvelous Sims. Shout out and lots of love for Sims with the new layout style. Text is really open and breezy. There's hilarious
Okay.
marginality from Ash and Cullen, so the whole game welcomes you in. So I think the whole experience of picking it up, even the paper, it's really welcoming. But
Okay.
I think also with Mark Smiley's covers, you've already made your decision that you're interested in Pendragon. In 1985, Pendragon came out, and I thought, oh, I don't know enough about medieval history. I don't know nothing about King Arthur. And like I wasted 7 years of my life not playing Pendragon because I thought it was hard. It is not hard. The game system is so straightforward. Traits and passions drive themselves. Players love it. And I still don't know anything about King Arthur or medieval history. I just make shit up. And if you've seen Merlin, if you've seen Excalibur, if you've watched Gawain and the Green Knight, if you want a noble story about knights and dames crashing around, and there's dames crashing around, which is so good, just get into it. The system is so intuitive. You literally barely look up a rule when you run it. So I kind of think if you think Pendragon's hard to run, then if you take the reverse and say, actually, it's not. I'll just use the bit I want and run the game I want to, then you're galloping, you're off and running, you're on the hunt.
Mark, you and your way to empower people to tell stories the way to want to tell them, Mark. Oh God, I love you.
And I
Stunning.
would just add
Oh,
that also Pendragon, what makes it so much fun is that the system itself drives story. So, we all have imposter syndrome. So sometimes I think,
yes,
am I good?
Lord.
Am I a good GM? Am I good at running Pendragon? The guy
Yeah.
who, you know,
I
but
don't know.
partly that's because with Pendragon, like what Mark says, you just sort of like have to just do the push, and then everything else takes care of itself. And you're kind of there to facilitate the story rather than drive the story, because it's just going to happen. And the feast rules and the battle rules and the hunting rules and all these things are there. The tournament rules, we haven't even gotten into the new tournament rules. I don't know if we'll have time. Those are great. And all of those are there to create memorable moments and character arcs.
Memorable moments and character arcs. Wow. Mark, thank you for that response. That does make me feel a lot better as a new GM potentially jumping into it. So I can just literally hit the button and just go. And then I can a la carte
Mhm.
my experience from there. Okay.
I look
Yeah.
forward to sitting at your table.
Oh, don't put that type of pressure on me. I'm
No,
gonna
no,
tell a
there's no
great story
pressure.
for you.
There's
Let's
no
go.
pressure.
Let's go.
It's great.
Okay, stunning. The next question that I had here was actually, is there anything, any type of GM advice that's included in this edition that wasn't in previous ones? And David, you did a stunning job of already articulating that. So I'm going to jump down to some of our prioritized questions that I'm seeing in the Zoom chat right now. So we're going to drop down to number 12, it looks like. Go figure, that's my favorite number. Are there
Hey,
any new sources of inspiration from both Arthurian literature and works of feudal history that have had a significant influence on this edition?
Okay, so I've set myself up for that question because I already know the answer. It's in Appendix B, suggested reading, which is an annotated bibliography from Greg's personal library, in which he goes through
Oh,
and not
wow.
only lists the books that were a big influence on the edition, but has little annotations on them. So, for example, in previous editions of Pendragon, you started out as vassal knights, whereas in sixth edition, you start out as household knights.
As
And
household knights, yeah.
in his bibliography, under academic works, he cites The Household Knights of King John by Stephen David Church, 2006. He says, "This book really defined household knights for me to the extent that I have made them the starting focus of Pendragon in 6th edition. They are closest to the adventuring knights concept so common in the literary sources." So that's just one example. But yeah, I don't know how many sources he has here, a couple dozen at least. So
Nice.
each one annotated. Yeah.
I
Nice.
want
Okay.
I want to crash in and just shout out. It was only published after you'd done this, but the Lev Grossman novel, The Bright Sword, I think
Yes.
is outstandingly great. And to me, what he does with that novel in investigating all of the Arthurian characters in a modern and kind of psychologically true way, is exactly what I want Pendragon to be. Like it's what he does with Sabetivius and Adinodane. It's an astounding book. So if you want some inspiration, I'd be jumping into reading The Bright Sword.
Yes.
Oh, nice, nice. Way to throw that out. Okay. All right, moving on here, gentlemen. What tools will the new battle system give GMs to craft dramatic moments in battles and give players more meaningful personal choices that you would see in the 5e battle system? These questions are coming directly from the tribe, by the way, guys. The community, y'all ain't playing around. Y'all pose some great questions. Talk to me about battle mechanics in this edition, guys.
So the battle system was sort of the one thing that Greg was still not fully set on, by the when he passed, and with the draft manuscript that we were left with. So that is actually something that was specifically developed by me and the design team to just try. See, Greg was a war gamer,
Mm,
as am I. Okay, I like my war games too, but we understand that not everyone does. Again, like much like with household management, and my experience with running the battle system in previous editions was that some people really loved it, and some people would groan whenever I said there's a battle,
okay.
and we didn't want that to be the case, and so the sort of design goal we set ourselves was, let's have a battle system that is wholly focused on, which is realistic. In a medieval battle, there's no like sophisticated maneuvering once the two armies bump into each other, and there's not very little sophisticated maneuvering even outside of that, right? And so it's kind of like, what is directly in front of me? What am I seeing through my little helmet visor, right?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is very little. So much like in previous editions, it focuses on like the sort of peak moments of the battle, but there's more player agency. Like if somebody rolls a critical on their battle skill, that generates an opportunity, and the opportunity can be, let's try and go grab the battle standard of the leader, or let's go after the leader himself, or let's try and raid the baggage train, or rescue some of our captured comrades from earlier in the battle, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah, it really tells a
um
gripping story. Yeah.
much more story focused. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
since you guys want to talk about story focused and, these gripping moments, I'm going to actually rewind up on our doc and ask a question that I read from a viewer that Bridget actually wants to hear too. Mark, I'm going to pick on
Yeah.
you first here. And it's, what is your favorite way to utilize this system to tell the stories that you want to tell?
Mm.
Oh, my favorite way of all is to, I think in life we face difficult choices all the time. Difficult
Hmm.
choices, easy choices, but you can't be in two places at once. You can't make two people happy if they both want different things. And it's like life lessons, and you do the best you can. And I love to put players on the spot. If I can make them uncomfortable, then I will do it. So I have a stupid adventure called The Adventure of Guinevere's Gap Year, in which the princess is bored and she just wants to come with Clarion to the tournament and just pretend to be a squire. And what I love to do is to take a trait or a passion and put them in opposition to each other.
Oh,
So it is reckless to take Guinevere to the tournament.
yeah.
But it's generous because she's a princess and she's going to get married and she has little choice in her overall life. And also, Leonogrants will hang you if he finds out. So my favorite thing is to set up a situation where the player goes, oh, and they make up their own mind, or they take a black dice and a white dice. And okay, here's my reckless. I kind of want to do it. Here's my like love of Leonogrants. I kind of shouldn't. So that's what I love in Pendragon.
Oh God, that's so delicious. Oh, that makes me want to sit at a Pendragon table right now. David, what are some of your favorite ways to, or your favorite way to deploy these mechanics to tell like these really amazing stories?
Well, I mean, Mark hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's sort of
Mark did
the
great on that.
yeah, the with all due respect, Mark doesn't know what he's talking about. Uh,
No, actually, this is Greg's advice. He says the
yeah,
best
yeah,
adventures, it's from the Pendragon Submission Guideline. He writes, the best adventures are when you take two traits in opposition. And
yep,
it's just drives the drama. Like it's
yeah.
just, and then that's what's great about Pendragon. Things matter.
Ah,
Yeah.
things
Matters.
matter. There you
Oh,
go.
good.
Yeah, and you can escalate it from there, even like pitting two passions against each other, or pitting a passion against an honor, right? So like if I you know back my family on this defying the king or our lord, I will lose honor. I will perhaps even risk being outlawed, but my family is more important to me, or vice versa, right? um so I mean, that's always the best way to sort of push story, especially if it's like you as the GM, you have no idea. And I
Yeah.
love rolling for NPCs as well. Like sometimes I've rolled
Oh
for an
yeah.
NPC's passion, and I get something that surprises me, like the NPC
Yeah.
goes mad, or gets a critical success or something, and it's like, oh, you really care about this. Okay.
Oh, you're
Well,
super serious about that. Okay, you're all in.
yeah, yeah. Well, you really want to fight, like so.
Oh,
But
study.
yeah, but also another piece of Pendragon that can be fun to drive story is everyone knows the basics. Like Mark doesn't have to explain who Guinevere is in order for people to
Yeah.
understand that scenario
Right.
pitch. uh and people know, we like to say, people always know more about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table than they realize, because it's just such a part of our sort of shared
Yeah.
cultural canon, right?
Yeah.
So I like to keep things focused on the player knights, of course, but then have meaningful cameos
Oh
when
yeah.
with like a named character. So like in a campaign I ran many years ago, we had a player knight who was just the roles. The player didn't set out to do this, okay? The dice were telling him this is the kind of character you're playing, all right? And he was a real blackguard, like he was constantly sleeping around, and then eventually he kept a courtesan on, like on his household payroll, even though he was married, right? And he was just disrespecting his wife. And this was during the period of the campaign where Lancelot's out being Lancelot, and he is the chivalrous knight, and chivalry is
Yeah.
all about protecting the downtrodden, protecting the powerless, and that can include noble women. And so Lancelot gets wind of what's going on here, and
Oh God.
basically shows up at the knight's estate and says, "Sir, I challenge you, in the name of your wife's honor." And the player knight's like, "I got this." And man, I mean, by the end of it, he was like on his knees, apologizing to his wife,
Oh
apologizing to Lancelot. And
wow.
I wasn't using it as a bludgeon. I just thought, hey, this is what Lancelot would do. And it's up to the
Right.
player to decide how he's gonna go. He could have just said, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'll
You're
I'll lay
right.
off.
That's my
But
okay, fair. Nah, he was like, nah,
yeah.
I got this.
Yeah, or the roles could have come out in his favor, and he could have, sent
Oh,
Lancelot
defeated
packing, right?
Lancelot.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh
I'm a
my God.
great believer that the dice tell the story that,
Mhm.
that wants to be told.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
the dice will tell some stories, honey. They will have everyone like, really? Okay, that's what we're doing today. All right. Especially roll 20. Let me tell you, roll 20 has a full attitude when it comes to rolling. Roll 20 will derail your whole life. You're just like, all right, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna sneak this one in just because David touched on it a little bit, and Bridget is genuinely curious about this question too, for both of you.
Hmm,
And we'll start with Mark.
hmm.
What's your favorite piece of obscure Arthurian trivia that you tried to sneak into the book? And if you couldn't sneak it into the book, what's just like a favorite piece of your own trivia from Arthurian yeah, lore? Look at Mark's
Look, I,
face.
I think it's just mad Merlin stuff. Just the fact
Hmm.
he literally is the son of the devil. And
Yeah.
I like to use him as kind of like, hero, villain, wise wise man, fool. He's such an interesting character. I don't think any of my players have ever actually liked him. Like they would all be dead if he wasn't doing his thing. So I
Oh.
think honestly, Merlin being the son of the devil, you just drop that one in. It's so he's
Hmm.
an endlessly fascinating and perplexing character.
Good answer. David, how about you, babe?
Um, and not so much Arthurian trivia, but sort of medieval folklore, I guess, is the fact that uh, you know, I think most people who are passingly familiar with sort of classic fantasy tropes know about the thing with unicorns and virgin women, right? Like unicorns are going to be hostile to everyone except a virgin maiden, right? And if it encounters a virgin maiden, it will be very docile and it'll be like, oh,
Okay.
hello, let's be friends. Well, there's a whole thing, and there's manuscript illustrations of this, of how hunters, supposedly, because nobody ever actually hunted a unicorn, but you get my point, hunters would use that as a ploy to lure a unicorn. They'd get their younger sister to like go out and just sit in a meadow and be like do do do, and then the unicorns show up and these guys would be hiding in the bushes around the edge of the meadow, and then they'd like launch their ambush and try to kill this unicorn. So we actually have a sidebar in the bestiary talking about how you can do that in your own game if you want to. and the checks to cruel and other negative traits that you will accrue if you do such a dastardly thing. But hey, detached unicorn horns, they fetch a pretty penny on the black market. So
Oh, shocking. No wonder there are none left.
that's right.
Side note, insurmountable avocado has me dying in chat right now. Your commentary is cracking me up, babe. Okay. Knocking through a few more of these questions. And then, David, I did see your 22. It just looks like we have a little bit more time. So I'm sneaking questions in here. I think we touched on this, but maybe not. I'm just going to ask it anyways here. The blog post mentions an in-depth discussion on magic. Are there going to be magic rules?
Okay. So in the
David's like,
GM's
all right, hold on.
handbook, yeah. In the GM's handbook, we do have guidelines. So of course, the easiest way to handle magic is because I said so, which is straight from Greg. Magic works like this, and that as far as you're concerned as knights, you're like, okay, yeah, sure, right. And but if you do want to like introduce some dice rolling, we do discuss like the four magical talents of divination, enchantment, glamour, and healing, and also like how like Saxon spellcasters and priests, how they work, how like Pictish magicians work, right? And then we talk about some of the major magicians of Britain, but and then same with miracles, right? Divine manifestations, divine intervention, divine retribution, how you can work those into your game. So they're not like pages and pages long systems, right? But they're sort of more detailed guidelines for game masters to use magic and miracles in their games.
Nice. Okay. All right. Thank you for that one. As we are winding down into our final stretch here, it looks like we're about 10, 12 minutes out. Let's go ahead and address it. Will there be a GM screen released as well?
Yes. And in fact, that's next in line. It is going to the printer as we speak. And that's all I can say as far as release dates. Obviously, I shall defer, but that is it's going to be in the same
the Gamemaster's kit.
Yes, exactly. Well, actually, the campaign kit, we're calling it, because it's gonna have a 3-panel GM screen. It's going to have Francesca Bayrald's poster map of Arthurian Britain, which you can get on Redbubble right now. But this will be a poster map size, whatever they call that, offset printing. I don't know. I don't produce these things.
She was like, we love our post-production team. They handle amazing things.
Yes, they do. I'm sure it'll look beautiful, and some other maps as well. And then 2 booklets. There's going to be a book of scenarios, and then a book of what we call Game Master resources. So that's going to have like random knight generators, random spouse generators, a gazetteer to go along with Francesca's map, where every location on the map is described in detail with adventure hooks and all kinds of stuff, right? And then the scenario books is going to have updated versions of the Forest Sauvage, essentially sandbox adventure. I mean, it's like you can generate really countless numbers of adventures knocking around in the Forest Sauvage, and then a few other smaller scenarios as well, and some scenario generator tables, like the Knight at the Crossroads, the Damsel in Distress, the Mysterious Magician, and they're sort of Mad Lib style, where you just the magician wants blank to do blank, and you're just rolling d20s as you go down.
Your name here.
You're right. Insert boom and boom and then boom and then boom.
Mhm.
Oh, study.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Now, since we're discussing creating your own stories, we're talking about tables and generations and fill in the blanks. Mark, you're a whole community ambassador that specializes in Pendragon over on the Companions of Author. So I just got a couple quick questions for you that were teed up in our questions. And I think these are great questions to kind of close out on as we're nearing towards the end, because this is going to be encouraging you, dear listener, member of the Chaosium tribe, or somebody that's even Pendragon curious, to go publish, monetize, and share your own stories. So, Mark, Companions of Author launched last year. Whew, that was a lot of words. As a new source of community content for 6th edition. Has the launch influenced the development of official resources such as the Gamemaster's Handbook and other future releases?
We because we've only just come out, and David and the team have months, if not years, ahead of us. The
Yeah.
answer is not as yet,
Okay.
but I do believe that the authors themselves are inspired by what they're seeing in the 6th edition books, and certainly we've got some fantastic
Ooh.
projects like Heirs and Spares, which Bob, Jeff, and Valley have just published, is an 80-page expansion to the starter set characters, like all about who their squires are, all about who their particular loves. It's 80 pages plus 20 pages of character sheets. So that's a case where they've looked at the starter set and gone, wow, what if GMs want more here? So
Yeah.
we're kind of seeing those kind of go together. So I think it's going to be a constant circular process, and you can bet that all the Companions authors are refreshing their calendar to see if it's the 26th of March yet. They can order the pre-order and get their eyeballs into the Gamemaster's Handbook and go nuts. Yeah.
Oh, stunning. Okay, now you pretty much kind of answered this one, but I'm just gonna knock on the door in case there's anything else that we can rattle some more change. Mark, what's in the pipeline for the Companions of Arthur program? Any new or exciting adventures that'll be soon released into the world? Anything you can tease us about?
Well, it's now I begin to out people like, hey, you said you were working on this, and I'm going to put it in a Pendragon AMA, and now you're in trouble.
Now you have to. We're waiting on
yeah.
you.
Right.
So Ian Nisbet, who wrote The Adventure of the Loathsome Mackerel, it's a longer title and it's fallen on my head, but he's got a new one coming up called The Love and Labours of Saint Sir Corleen, and Sir Corleen is a
Oh,
lovesick knight. Ian's from Scotland, and he writes scenarios based on folk songs. So
oh,
and it's set at Pentecost, and you actually play Sir Corleen, but also his entourage. There's like his bodyguard, his squire, and a knight who's become a friar. So that sounds like a really delightful kind of love story.
that
And
does. That
Ian hopes to
does.
have that done for Pentecost, which is 8th of June this year. We're doing Adventures for Pentecost on the Companions of Arthur, because that's always the big moment where Arthur won't let anyone eat or drink until some miracles happen in the hall and a bunch of player characters charge out, knights and dames charge out on an adventure. So that's a pretty cool
Wow.
thing. And but then what's great about the Companions is you can tell any story you like. Where are my King Arthur in spaceship stories? Come on, people, let's go.
You're right.
But Jason Lee and David Waldron, they're working on Feast of the Forest, which is a really dark story. It's set in
Oh,
496. So I think Uther has only kind of just died. And it's about a disgraced knight regaining their honors. It's in the mist-choked fens of East Anglia. Black Shuck, the Black Hound, is out there in the fens. It's gonna be a much kind of darker story with like 4 knights and seeking redemption. So yeah,
that sounds
that's
like a
what
vibe.
it's Greg's thing of like your Pendragon may vary. Like the Adventure of Guinevere's Gap Year, obviously that is stupid, but it's also kind of hilarious because Pendragon can be any kind of story you want it to be. So yeah.
Great articulation. I love that you keep calling this scenario stupid when chat keeps going like, I love that
Yeah, yeah.
It's dumb. It's
scenario.
totally
Like
dumb.
Mark dismissed
But
it
I've
and
got
chat was like,
Guinevere's
we love
stats
it.
now. Guinevere's stats are in the Game Master's Handbook, so we
Yes,
know
they
what you
are.
can do.
Absolutely.
King Lot stats are in there just in time for my players to kill him. It was great.
Just in time for my players to
I
kill him.
literally like, oh,
It
Lot's
was
stats
great.
just dropped. Oh, and so has Lot. Thank you. Right. Good job.
And it was great. Oh God, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so I am trialing this one out as we're getting ready to close out this AMA, and I've never done it before. So, gentlemen, I'm sorry y'all got to deal with me dealing with it now or trying it out now. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. We'll figure it out for the next
Okay.
AMA.
Have fun.
Gentlemen, what is a question that you wish someone would have asked that you can answer right now as we're closing out?
Hmm.
I know it's a tricky one. I could have warned y'all about it, but I had this bright idea like 20 minutes ago. And now you're stuck with me. I'm rolling it out now. We'll see what happens.
Question I wish someone had asked.
Yeah,
Wow.
what's the question? You're like, man, I wish somebody would have asked me this so I could have said blah.
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
That's a tricky one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if there's. I think we've
I
covered a lot of what's
We've covered a
in
lot of ground.
the
Look, we've
book.
talked about battle, we've talked about feasting, but
Mhm.
nobody thinks of hunting. And like that's what you do
Yeah.
when you're not going to war against a lot or and there's a great section about hunting in this book and the way it works. Do you catch a quarry? What is your quarry? It's like sport. That's what they go out and do. And my players have never been on one because I'm a monster. And so now that I've got this really kind of broadens out what you're doing when you're not just trying to murder people.
Yeah.
Instead, you're trying to murder animals. I'm a vegetarian. Don't blame me. Anyway, go hunting. It'll be fun.
Hunting. Okay. That's good. That's good. David,
Well, and
any
I'll
closing
piggyback
for
off of
us?
that. Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that, and I kind of muttered something about it earlier, but I love the expanded tournament section, and so
Mm.
nobody asked me to talk about that, so I'm going to talk about it anyway. Two tables in particular that I love. One is the jousting results table, much
Oh.
like the mounted charge fumble table in the
Oh,
core
yes.
rules,
Yeah.
where you can inadvertently pole vault yourself out of your horse's saddle if you fumble your charge roll. There
Stop
are
it.
plenty of opportunities to humiliate your character in the joust if you fumble. My favorite is you fall from horse, foot caught in stirrup, dragged for 3d6 damage, no armor protection. Uh,
Oh, you just take
then
that straight to the face. Oh.
yeah, exactly. So that's if you fumble and then roll a 19 or 20. So very, very statistically improbable, yet I'm sure there are players who will have that happen to them, and I can't wait. And then the other is the tournament prizes table, because in the past, most of the time when tournaments are presented in Pendragon, it just says a prize worth 3 Libra or something, right? Well, here we have a table with actually 25 different potential prizes, because you can add to your d20 roll depending on the size of the tournament, all of
Yeah.
which are based off of actual medieval tournament prizes. So
Oh,
you
that's
could
dope.
Well,
get
how about
something.
chat? You're at a regional. It's a large tournament, so you're at Carleon. Somebody in chat, roll a d20 and add 3 to it. Go.
Yeah,
Bridget,
yeah,
you're
great.
reading
Go,
chat. I'm
Chad.
not.
Go, Chad.
Give us a
Go.
number. Roll a d20. Come on, someone's
D20
got a
plus
dice.
3. Oh, come on,
This
Chad.
may
Don't
come
fail us
fun.
now.
This is great television. Oh my
Right
god.
here.
Okay,
'How
18.
good
Hit
is
us.
this? What?
18. All
18.
right.
Yep.
All right, so you're gonna the prize on the line is a complete wardrobe suitable for a superlative knight worth 10 Libra.
Outstanding.
Oh.
The pointiest
If you
shoes.
wear that, to your next Pentecost court, you will get a big heaping bonus to your geniality score, which will make all of your courtly skills more likely to succeed. So it isn't just about, hey, this is worth this much money. It's like, I can actually use this in the game. This is great.
Oh, that's
Congratulations. You're an
dope.
influencer.
You're in it. Congrats. You made it, guys. You made it. Oh, that is absolutely amazing. That is amazing. All right, guys, final 60 seconds. I'm just going to call out a couple of the last few things I've seen at chat that made Bridget laugh. This is Matherby going, I'm pounding on the table, yelling, more random tables. Yes, yes, yes. Which amuses me to no end. And then
Yep.
tickling the Bob game, he said, Pendragon is nothing if it's not falling off of your horse.
Absolutely.
Sold.
Absolutely.
absolutely completely sold. Guys, if you are watching live and you've been participating in the chat, you are awesome. If you saw the flyer come out through our marketing channels and you engaged and listed a question, other than like two that I just made up on the fly, all of those questions were from our community. So thank you for your enthusiasm, thank you for your interest, thank you for your curiosity, thank you for engaging. We deeply appreciate it. As another reminder, tomorrow, the 26th of, I almost said May because I don't know what month it is in 2025 anymore. I think it's March.
Sure.
March 26th, tomorrow,
hell of a
you will
decade.
be able, right, honey, Lord, you will be able to, for the first time ever at Chaosium, pre-order this content. If you pre-order it, you get the PDF immediately, and then as soon as shipping gets its shipping life together, the second those books hit the warehouse, they will be immediately shipped to you. But you can get your hands on a PDF if you pre-order right now. So tomorrow, you guys have an absolutely amazing time. Now, that's tomorrow, but coming up later this week, next week, again, I don't know what's going on. April 3rd, you are stuck with me again as I am bringing back Mason, McDonald, and Hardy for the Cthulhu by Gaslight Keepers Guide. AMA. That is going to be absolutely delicious. If you want to love on me and you want to love on David Larkins, allegedly we're going to be at Chaosium Con Ann Arbor in a couple of weeks. Don't know when you're watching this, but if you want to run by Ann Arbor, we will be there. I will be loud. It'll be very difficult to miss me. David will be adoring, and we all love him completely. Mark, thank you so much for coming.
But also, if you want to keep
Oh, but also tell me about it. You're going to be somewhere too.
Keep the Pendragon action happening on Twitch, Brian Holland is running Glass Cannon, who are astounding players under an iron sky. And I think it's like tomorrow is the first of the full. They've just done their winter phase. So
is that going to be tomorrow?
Brian is a mesmerizing GM. So yeah. Anyway, check out Glass Cannon. They know when they screen. I don't. But it's top ace Pendragon actual play. So
they made winter phase entertaining. That should be all you need to know.
Hey,
I can feel the shade in that forecast already here, David. That was delightful. Chaosium, once again, Mob, Holland, thank you so much for making these opportunities possible. So Jamie, who is in the background running all of our production, we literally wouldn't be here for you. Everyone that's Australia on that side of the planet, thank you for getting up so early. Guys,
hello
we're
from
on
tomorrow.
Like 3 different continents right now, doing the best we can with what we got. Chaosium is a global company. We get it in. Thank you for joining us for this AMA. We are out of here. Have a wonderful night. Take care of yourself and each other. Night, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep.